All right, very quick update, I suppose. So I pulled the radiator out, and these things, they're a good old hybrid, so you've got to disconnect stuff from underneath. So they're underneath, so there's all lines underneath, and you've also got to disconnect an all line on the side, which is right there on the top of the radiator. So that bottom one stays in place. You don't take that one out. So this top one was insanely tight. I honestly couldn't believe how tight that was. I was swinging off it, and I swear I was going to smash the plastic or something on the radiator, but no dramas. So as I expected, it's an old car sitting around a long time. It was full of horrible water, which I knew was going to happen. So anyway, I've done a flush. So I've actually pushed water from that hose. I put it under high pressure and just back in, and then let it drain out, and back in, let it drain out, because I didn't have a thermostat gasket for it. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Obviously take the thermostat out would be better to flush it all the way through, but it will do the job. So I suppose might as well be very quick. Radiator removal, quite simple really. So like I said, there's bolts. Take the bottom one off. You have to take the little plastic cover under this section here, take that out, and you'll see the oil line there. Just take the hard line only. You don't need to undo the other one, just the hard line. That was insanely tight as expected. So of course you got your bottom radiator hose down there, so that was always tight, it was coarse, and you access that from under the car as well. And you've got your other hose here, which is that one there, so that goes to the radiator as well. And you've got your oil line, so that's your top oil line there, and the bottom one, it goes with the radiator. So of course you've got your top one over here, undo that, and then you've got just two bolts, one bolt on each side of the radiator, and that's it. So that oil line there, that captures on the bottom of it when you pull it out, so that has to be pushed out of the way to pull the radiator out. And just make sure when you pull it out, you check the mounts either stay there or on the bottom of the radiator. So don't forget when you put the radiator back in that these need to be ready to rock and roll. So like I said, that was so tight. I honestly couldn't believe how tight that was, but no damage, all good. So then it was just a matter of draining the water out of it, and yeah, then the radiator just lifted out. So of course you got the plug that has to be undone for the fans. But yeah, no, relatively simple. Just a little bit time consuming because you have to access everything to disconnect the bits and pieces. So that was easy to change. So you just get your 1/2 inch socket, just a socket only, and then that pulls that for the belt tensioner. So that just moves that way. And then there's 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3. Very simple. And that just takes off, and then you just take them off and swap them over. Power steering, again, pretty simple. So undo the lines on the back, but the thing is this will constantly drip depending on if you've got any power steering fluid in there or not. So if you can, use something to suck the power steering fluid out of the reservoir beforehand. But otherwise this just drip. So yeah, I've got one of those sucking tools that suck the stuff out. So yeah, just be mindful that yes, you've got to be careful pulling them out. So there's a bolt there as well, and you'll see the bolt there, and you'll see the bolt on there. So they need to be undone, and there's 2 bolts in here. Yeah, very easy to see. So there's 2 bolts. You just move the thing around, you can see the bolts, 1, and there's the other one, 2. So they just undo, and the power steering pump just comes apart. So of course you got the flex line on there that needs to come off. And yeah, it's a relatively simple job, but yeah, it's messy depending if you've got stuff in the reservoir or not. So yeah, pretty straightforward job really. Just a little bit time consuming, you know. These things it took me about an hour to get the radiator out, and 5 minutes to do that, and that was about 20 minutes to pull that thing apart and swap it over. So all really easy, it's just time consuming. Plus I cleaned it up while you're at it, of course. Cleaned up all the muck and the crap and all the years and years of rubbish and crap that's on the car, so I cleaned all that up. So yeah, so now, and I gave the radiator a really good clean. I flushed it, cleaned all the grills and all that. Gave the condenser a clean as well, just to get rid of all the crap on it, and just cleaned up the bottom stuff along there. So yeah, all just general bits and pieces of cleaning. Since it's all apart, you might as well do a good job of it. Of course, to get the radiator out, you've got to take the, I forgot to mention, the cover off the air intake. Comes across here. Of course, that just has to be pulled off. Very easy. So yeah, ideally you'd probably change the thermostat and the gasket in there, but I don't have one with me, so I'm winging that. I'll put it on the future to do jobs. So yeah, so that'll get rid of the noise of the pulley. Oh yeah, probably why am I changing the power steering pump, you might ask. Right, my old one, this is where the battle come from. I couldn't work out where this friggin' leak was. You know, mentioned there was a leak I could not find. I looked and looked and looked. Well, it was on here. It was on this, where the tank to the pump seal was. I couldn't believe it. It was right there. So what was happening, I'd fill up the reservoir here, and then this would, as soon as you start the car, it leaked the tiniest amount, but once you got pressure in the system, it started leaking. So, but because the old one was black, it just leaked straight down the side, straight down in there, went along to the sump gasket. There's the sump gasket where the old one was leaking, and it tracked all the way along the bottom of on the sump gasket, and then dripped out and went into the K-frame spot. And then from there, it would drip out the bottom of that drain hole on the K-frame. So because there's been so much junk and crap in years, it looked like bloody engine oil was dripping constantly, even though the car wasn't running. So it was really weird, and it looked like engine oil, but obviously it was power steering oil. So I've found it, so which is good. It was right on that seal. Real bloody nuisance of a thing, prick of a thing to try and find. So I've tightened up all the sump, well, I've nipped up all the sump bolts, so there, hopefully that with that stop leak in there and the sump bolts nipped up, that should hopefully reduce the leakage around that sump bolt, and same with the rear main. I don't even know if the rear main was leaking or not, whether it was just ongoing, whether it was oil tracking down, I don't know. So, other issue, brake line. So the reason I couldn't get the brakes to work, the brake line from there, up around into there, and it goes out and along the front. Right on that there was a rust, and it was a bloody pinhole there. So of course I couldn't see it from in the car when I was working the brakes, and every time I put the brakes on, it'd just get psst, psst, it'd just leak. So I had to replace that line. You can't fix them, of course, brake lines. So I had to replace it, and you wouldn't bloody believe the bloody thing looks like. That's it there. It is the most twisted, bloody mad looking brake line known to man freaking kind. I'm sure there is a lot more complicated ones, but oh my God. So I gave it to the shop, and he gave me a brand newie. This is incredibly exposed, this brake line. It's incredibly exposed. It's unbelievable that it even habits on them where it is, but anyway, and that's where the ABS is. So every time, guess what? Every time you have a minor dingle at the front of your car, hey, new ABS, new brake lines, it'll be a $2,000, $3,000 job before you even go boo. Just a tiny little bingle on the front of your car. What a crazy spot to put them. But anyway, these are hybrids. They are hybrid cars. They've got bits and pieces of other cars, a bit of AU, a bit of XG, all mixed into one car. So it is a beauty. She's a beauty, which is cool, which makes them unique, which is why people like them, you know, why I like them. So anyway, that's where I'm up to. So I'm just gonna do a bit more cleaning, and we're just gonna clean down around the alternator there, get the K-frame cleaned up around there, get the radiator back in, and then yeah, put some fluids in it, get the brakes line in, and yeah, get the brake line in, get the brakes bled, So I've got one of those brake bleeding kits, one of those things. So they're pretty bloody handy, those things. You just put them on your air compressor and it does it all for you. So pretty bloody convenient. I'll get the power steering bled and purged and bled, and that should be it. And I'll just check the transmission level once I get that. Once I get all the transmission lines back together and all that, I'll just give it a run, and once it's all ready to run up again, I'll give it a quick once over and check the transmission lines, the transmission fluid level. So that was my little device I rigged up to top it up. Oh, I've lost it. Oh my God, where'd it go? Anyway, so yes, I do have a little temporary, oh, there it is. I just used the cheapest, nastiest funnel I could find and just jammed a bit of 10mm hose in the bottom. And yeah, and that works a trick. You just put that up, you know, up near the driver's door, go underneath the car, because these are the ones with, there's no transmission stick, see, nothing. So the level, you get the level from under the car from the bung. So yeah, that's all you need. Just a little bloody 50-cent funnel, a $2 piece of plastic hose, and it works a bloody trick. You just pour the trans fluid in and it just goes in. It's slow, but it goes in. Yeah, easy job really. It's not difficult at all. And you don't need to run the car to get it up to temperature and check whether it's the right level and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, obviously you need to run it, because just if it's a complete empty job, you have to rerun it, because obviously in the store, in the converter, it's gonna need filling up. So yeah, don't just think that you top it up and that's it. You got to run it still and make sure there's oil in the converter. So I found a couple more parts, went back to the wreckers again, and I spent more time hunting. Found that. I'm going to try one of these again. I don't know if they're going to work, but it might be better than the one I've got. And I found a door lock. I don't know where that is. There, look. Found an old door lock, because I'm missing one of mine. So yeah, that wreckers was quite convenient. Very bloody convenient, honestly. So I got the windscreen mechanism working too, so that was all jammed up. So I still got to clean it, get all this off. It was crappy paint, and clean it and run through. So it was just stuck. That's all it was. That's why it didn't work. So I've had it soaking. I've put the some release fluid on there, and it's freed it up. So it's actually working really good now. So I don't need to replace that now. But I'll clean it up. I'll get all this crap off. You know, these are solid as shit. A little bit of rust won't hurt these. So I'll clean them up, rust treat them, and I'll put all that back in, because it's a good serviceable bit of kit. So of course I got a new belt, new serpentine belt that'll go on. Anyway, so yeah, we're ticking over. So I'll smash the work on the weekend. Oh, the other thing, I ordered a new windscreen. I couldn't find one local, so I ordered a new windscreen. So that'll be here in about a week. But that'll give me heaps of time to get the other jobs done. So yeah. Yeah, God, long update. Holy crap. Anyway, I'll leave you in peace. Cheerio.